Les, you still there?
Yes, Johnny.
You see anything yet?
Well, no, there's quite a crowd, though. Where's the big guy?
I don't know where Carlson is.
It's 1978, a Monday night. 15 million Americans click over to CBS and hear a theme song about a radio station nobody's listening to. 4 seasons later, the station goes dark. But the people inside it, their stories were just getting started. One lost his mind to a disease that erased him one memory at a time. Another became the most famous alien dad on television, then died of cancer after burying his wife. The blonde bombshell every man in America wanted, she married Burt Reynolds. You know how that ended. Some of this you've never heard. The straight man who went back to the stage. Let's start with the guy who held the whole thing together. Gary Lee Sandy.
I call you Gary Cooper Sandy.
No, my middle name is Lee. So
Gary Lee Sandy.
Gary Lee. Gary Lee, you get in here.
Born December 25th, 1945, Christmas Day in Dayton, Ohio. He played Andy Travis, the program director.
What do y'all want?
Justice.
Girls.
The level-headed new guy who walked into a failing radio station and tried to make it play rock and roll. The straight man, the anchor. Every wild character on that show needed someone sane to bounce off of. That was Gary. He earned lead scale pay. Did his job. No scandals, no tabloid headlines, and when WKRP ended, Gary did something most TV actors either can't or won't do.
Something's gonna make the newspapers. What do you think, Johnny?
He went back to the stage, Broadway, the Pirates of Penzance, theater tours, the kind of work where you earn your applause from a live audience every night and nobody's watching the ratings. He's 80 years old now, net worth somewhere around $1.5 million. The program director who kept the chaos on track now directs his own encore on stage. No fortune, no tragedy, just the work. But the guy who sat across from him in that newsroom, the one with the bandage on his face and the invisible office walls, he's got a story that's quieter than you'd expect. And maybe that's the point. The newsman who wrote his own exit, Richard Kynard Sanders. Born August 23rd, 1940 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He played Les Nessman, the earnest, slightly deranged news director who put tape on the floor to mark his imaginary office walls and wore a bandage on his face in almost every episode. Nobody ever fully explained the bandage. That's what made it genius.
I wanted to chat, but I had to get on the air with the hog futures.
But here's what most people don't know. Richard Sanders wasn't just acting on WKRP, he was writing for it. He wrote episodes. He understood the machinery of the show from the inside, and that understanding is probably why Les Nessman felt so real. The character wasn't just a punchline. He was a man who took his job seriously in a world that didn't take him seriously.
What happens in your mind as an actor as you walk off and go from
What happens in my mind? I say, I gotta get on shoes, I gotta get that tie on. So there's very little that goes on in my mind.
If you've ever worked in an office, you knew a Les Nessman. After the show, Richard reprised the role in the new WKRP in the early 90s. Did guest spots here and there.
Oil remains the #1 concern.
Oil schmoil, give me a break.
And then, around 2006, he retired. Quietly, completely. No farewell tour, no podcast, no convention circuit hustle. He married Marilyn Marco Sanders. Settled into a life that had nothing to do with cameras. He's 85 now, still alive, still quiet. The bandage-wearing newsman who covered imaginary wars now covers the quiet legacy of a show that still broadcasts loud and clear. Net worth modest, retirement earned. Now, you want to talk about somebody who didn't just play a role, who actually fought for it. The next guy walked onto that set and refused to let them make him a stereotype. The cool DJ who refused to be a cartoon, Timothy Lee Reed Sr. born December 19th, 1944 in Norfolk, Virginia. He played Venus Flytrap, the smooth, impossibly cool nighttime DJ who showed up at WKRP with a secret past and a voice that could melt a speaker.
And let the sounds of music creep in our ears. Soft stillness in the night become the touches of sweet harmony.
But here's what was happening behind the microphone. When Tim Reed first got the script, Venus Flytrap was written as a stereotype. The cool black guy, the token. Tim fought that. He went to the producers and said, essentially, if you want me to play this man, let me make him a man. Not a cartoon, not a type, a human being with depth and intelligence and contradictions. They listened. And Venus Flytrap became one of the most beloved characters on the show.
I remember the day we were having a party at Hugh's house on the weekend, and he came up with the idea to do a show.
Not because he was cool, but because he was real. After WKRP, Tim didn't just keep acting, he built Sister, Frank's Place, a show he created with his wife, Daphne Maxwell Reid, that won an Emmy. He produced, he directed, He built a production company.
Thank you, Mr. Milkman. Mooney.
He became the thing the industry never expected, a power player behind the camera. He married Daphne in 1982. They're still together, 44 years. In an industry where marriages last about as long as a pilot season, that's not just impressive, that's a statement. He's 81 now, net worth mid-range. The cool DJ who demanded substance on screen built a producing and directing empire that outlasted the station. The voice is still smooth, the legacy is louder. But the woman who sat at the front desk, the one every guy in America was in love with, her story after WKRP isn't about what she built. It's about who she married and what it cost her. The quiet one who disappeared on purpose, Karen John Smithers. Born July 3rd, 1949 in North Hollywood, California. She played Bailey Quarters.
Good evening. Les Nessman is not here. I'm Bailey Quarters, and here's what's happening.
The shy, brainy news researcher who slowly evolved into a confident producer over 4 seasons. Bailey was the one you rooted for. Not the loudest, not the flashiest. The one who showed up, did the work, and got better every year. Jan's real life mirrored that energy.
Okay, here we go.
Wait a minute.
What?
I'm gonna faint. What? No, I'm fine.
She did her job on WKRP, she was professional, and then, in 1987, 5 years after the show ended, she retired from acting. Done. She was 38 years old. Between WKRP and retirement, she married James Brolin. Yes, that James Brolin. They had a daughter named Molly in 1987. The marriage lasted until 1995. After the divorce, Jan moved to Ojai, California, a quiet town in the mountains north of Los Angeles, and vanished from public life with what appears to be genuine contentment. She's 76, still in Ojai, net worth around $2 to $4 million. No comeback, no convention circuit, no regrets as far as anyone can tell. The shy researcher who quietly stole scenes walked away from Hollywood to build a real-life happy ending. Some people leave fame. She never looked back. And then there's the boss, the big guy, the man who ran that station with toy trains on his desk and a mother who terrified him. His story doesn't end with a quiet retirement. The big guy's last broadcast, Alexander Gordon Jump, born April 1st, 1932 in Dayton, Ohio. Same hometown as Gary Sandy. He played Arthur Big Guy Carlson, the bumbling, lovable station manager who couldn't quite run a radio station but could somehow hold a family of misfits together.
I can make those hard decisions. And the first decision we're going to have to make around here is what we're going to do about Mama.
What most people remember about Gordon Jump after WKRP is the Maytag commercials. He became the Maytag Repairman, the loneliest guy in advertising, and that role paid better and lasted longer than anything he'd done on network television. He also came back for the new WKRP in the early 90s. Steady work, steady presence. But Gordon had health problems that the public didn't see. Pulmonary fibrosis, a disease that slowly scars the lungs until they can't move air anymore. On September 22nd, 2003, Gordon Jump died. He was 71. 4 kids, multiple marriages, a career that stretched from sitcoms to soap commercials to a disease that took his breath away. Literally, one inhale at a time. Net worth modest. The big guy who ran the station with toy trains and heart left the booth for the last time at 71. The loneliest repairman finally got the call he couldn't fix. Stay with me, because the next one is worse. Gordon at least went quickly, relatively speaking. The man who played Herb Tarlek, the loud suits, the bad sales pitches, the guy you laughed at every single week, his ending was slow, and it was cruel. The loud suit goes quiet. This is the one that gets me. Frank Woodrow Bors Jr. Frank Bonner to the world. Born February 28th, 1942 in Little Rock, Arkansas.
I got some bad news for you.
Oh, come on.
We just lost the Bo Peep safety shoe account.
He played Herb Tarlek, the ad sales manager who wore plaid suits so loud they practically had their own laugh track. Herb was the hustler, the sleaze, the guy who couldn't close a deal to save his life but kept showing up every morning like he was about to land the big one. What most people didn't know is that Frank Bonner was sharp. Really sharp. He didn't just play Herb, he directed episodes. After WKRP, he directed Just the 10 of Us and other shows. He understood television from the inside out.
You don't know who you're dealing with.
Yeah, well, neither do you, Dumbo. He's Carlson, you jerk.
The guy in the loud suit was the quiet craftsman behind the camera, and then came the diagnosis. Lewy body dementia. If you don't know what that is, consider yourself lucky. It's not just memory loss. It's hallucinations, confusion. Your body forgetting how to move. Your mind forgetting who you are. It's Alzheimer's crossed with Parkinson's, and it doesn't negotiate. Frank Bonner spent his last years in that fog. The man who played one of the most energetic characters on 1970s television was slowly being erased by a disease that couldn't care less about his timing, his talent, or his plaid suits. On June 16th, 2021, Frank Bonner died. He was 79, net worth modest. The guy in the loud suits who sold air on TV sold his own charm off screen, until life's quiet fade reminded us that even hucksters have final pitches. The suit went quiet. The man inside it went quieter. I told you that one was hard. The next one's hard too, but in a different way. Because the man who played Dr. Johnny Fever didn't just play a burned out hippie DJ, he was one. The real DJ Howard Hesseman, born February 27, 1940 in Lebanon, Oregon. He originally auditioned for Herb Tarlek. Imagine that. But he convinced the producers that he was Johnny Fever. And here's why they believed him. Howard Hesseman had actually been a DJ. A real one.
CBS said you can't use that Cadillac because you're giving Cadillacs a free plug.
KMPX-FM in San Francisco during the Summer of Love. Underground radio. The real counterculture, not the TV version. So when Johnny Fever walked into WKRP, queued up a record, and said booger on the air to test the new format, that wasn't just acting. That was muscle memory. The line between character and actor was thinner than most people realized. After WKRP, Howard landed head of the class. Another hit. 2 Emmy nominations. He married actress Caroline Ducroc in 1989. He kept working, kept being the guy who'd actually been to the places the scripts only imagined. In January 2022, Howard Hesseman went in for colon surgery. Complications followed. On January 29th, he died. He was 81 years old. The real-life underground DJ, who played a washed-up hippie on TV, became the counterculture icon whose fever still burns in every WKRP rerun. Net worth modest to mid. The turntable stopped. The records keep spinning. Most people don't know that Howard and Frank Bonner died less than 7 months apart. 2 guys who shared a set for 4 years, gone within the same calendar year. But there's someone from this cast dealing with something just as cruel, and she's still alive. The voice that's fading, Edie McClurg. Born July 23, 1945 in Kansas City, Missouri. She only appeared in 3 episodes of WKRP as Lucille Tarlek, Herb's wife. But her career after the show was enormous. She became one of the most recognizable character actresses in Hollywood. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Little Mermaid, Natural Born Killers, Cars. If you've watched anything made between 1985 and 2010, you've heard Edie McClurg's voice. But in recent years, reports have surfaced about Edie's health. Alzheimer's disease, the same category of cruelty that took Frank Bonner, a mind betraying the person who built a career on its sharpness. The woman whose comic timing was surgical is now fighting a disease that erases timing, memory, and eventually everything. She's 80 years old, still alive, net worth around $2 million. The voice that made Herb's home life hilarious became the unsung queen of character comedy. Now the voice is fading, and there's no script for that. The alien dad's real-life nightmare, George Edward Wright, Max to everyone. Born August 2nd, 1943 in Detroit. He was barely on WKRP, 2 episodes as a lawyer named Frank Bartman. A bit part, forgettable, but what happened next wasn't. Max Wright became Willie Tanner on ALF, the dad who raised an alien in his garage. Massive fame, and behind it, misery. Max reportedly hated the show. His wife Linda died in 2017, 2 children. Then Max himself was diagnosed with lymphoma, remission, it came back. On June 26, 2019, Max Wright died of cancer. He was 75, net worth modest. The lawyer who visited WKRP briefly became the dad who raised an alien, proving even bit players get cosmic second acts. His didn't end the way anyone wanted. Now, a couple of names most people don't remember. But that's the point. Not everyone on a show becomes a star. Some of them become something quieter. And sometimes, quieter is the story. The man who outlived everything, Ian Marcus Wolfe. Born November 4th, 1896. Let that year sit with you for a second. The man was born during the McKinley administration. He was older than motion pictures themselves. By the time he showed up on WKRP as Hirsch, Mama Carlson's bone-dry butler, he was 81 years old with over 400 credits to his name. 400. He'd worked with everyone. He'd survived every era of Hollywood. Silent films to talkies to television to whatever came next. He kept acting until 1990, when he was 94 years old. His last credit was Dick Tracy. He died on January 23, 1992 at 95. The man who deadpanned through WKRP's chaos had already outlived most of Hollywood's golden age. Net worth modest. Career immeasurable. 400 credits and a butler's smirk. The old guard's final curtain. Two names most people skip right past. Carol Bruce, born Shirley Lewy, November 15, 1919, in Great Neck, New York. She took over the role of Mama Lillian Carlson, the imperious station owner who controlled her son Arthur the way only a wealthy mother can. From a distance, with money and without apology. Carol was Broadway before she was anything. A belter. A woman who could fill a theater from the back row. After WKRP, she went back to the stage, did the occasional film, and lived the kind of life that doesn't make headlines but fills a room. She died October 9th, 2007 at 87. The name you'll never Google. Here's something nobody tells you about television. For every face you remember, there are 20 you don't. Elaine Marie McClary is one of those faces. A minor association with WKRP, the kind of credit that doesn't survive a Wikipedia edit. No verified bio, no interview archive, no reunion invite with her name on it. But every show that ever aired was held together by people like her. The ones who showed up, did the work, and went home without anyone writing it down. You don't remember her name, but the station doesn't stay on the air without her. The bombshell's last scene, and now, the last one. The one everybody came here for, the one whose face was on every magazine, every poster, every dorm room wall in 1979, the one who married Burt Reynolds and lived to regret it publicly, privately, and legally. Loni Anderson. Born August 5th, 1945 in St. Paul, Minnesota, she played Jennifer Marlowe, the receptionist at WKRP who looked like a centerfold but thought like a chess player. Jennifer was the smartest person in every room she walked into, and she knew it, and she let every man who underestimated her find out the hard way. That character subverted the dumb blonde trope before anyone was using the word subverted. Loni fought for that role's intelligence. She also fought for her paycheck. Briefly walking off set in 1980 to demand a raise. She got it. On a show where the men were making more, the blonde bombshell held her ground. That wasn't acting. That was Loni. And then came Burt Reynolds, 1988. The wedding America watched. The marriage America watched collapse. The divorce was bitter, public, expensive, and dragged through every tabloid in the country for 6 years. Custody battles, financial accusations, the kind of breakup that makes both people look worse the longer it goes on. Loni had 2 children, Deidre from an earlier marriage, and Quentin, adopted with Burt. The divorce finalized in 1994. The scars lasted longer, she kept working, TV movies, guest spots. She married Bob Flick of the Brothers 4 in 2008, a quieter love, an easier life. 4 marriages total. A woman who spent her career playing the smartest person in the room spent her personal life learning that smart doesn't protect you from everything. On August 3rd, 2025, Loni Anderson died. She was 79 years old, cancer-related illness after a prolonged fight, 2 days before her 80th birthday, 2 days, net worth around $12 million, the ultimate blonde bombshell receptionist who outsmarted the suits on screen only to navigate real-life Hollywood divorces, tabloid wars, and a disease that didn't care how beautiful she was. Her Jennifer Marlowe cool never faded. The woman behind it finally did.